Welcome to the inaugural episode of The Heart of the Matter. We look forward to bringing you in-depth discussions on issues that matter to you. On today's program, we take a look at the costs of staying healthy. What are companies doing to help their employees improve their health? We also talk to experts about what it means to be healthy and how we can all start on the road to getting fit. Stay tuned for The Heart of the Matter. Companies in our region are getting creative when it comes to improving the health of their employees and lowering the cost of their health insurance premiums. Field reporter Donnie Rolls has this story.
My name is Christina Bertelson, and I have worked at Logistics Health for 4.5 years.
Chris West. I have worked here going on 2 years.
Christina Bertelson and Chris West are both employees of Logistics Health in La Crosse, Wisconsin. Logistics Health provides healthcare services to U.S. military personnel all across the country. Both Christina and Chris have been avid exercisers for years, but what's unique about these workouts is it's 11:30 in the morning on a work day, and both Christina and Chris are on the clock. Their employer is paying them to exercise.
Everyone needs a little mental break, so it's good for us.
I was surprised, to say the least. Fitness is important to me, knowing that the facility is so close.
Healthcare costs are impacting individuals, governments, and businesses of all sizes. Often a company's second biggest expense, after salaries, is healthcare costs. The skyrocketing costs are not sustainable, so they're leading companies to take some dramatic steps.
It's about the overall well-being of our individuals.
Don Weber is chairman and CEO of Logistics Health.
Less than 10% of most employees work out on a regular basis.
But that number is much higher for Logistics Health employees. In fact, about 80% of their staff exercise regularly. A big reason why Weber's staff, people like Christina and Chris, are working out so much is they are paid 3 hours a week to exercise, take nutrition classes, or even spend time volunteering for other organizations.
As members enter the fitness center, they check in with the fitness staff.
They've built a fitness facility at the work site for staff to use during the day.
I decided to make it available for them and to try to encourage as much participation as possible.
Okay, thank you. Bye. The convenience of the on-site fitness facility is huge. You can come to work, shower here, so you don't have to waste time running back home to shower. Hey, how are you? Most of the classes during lunch are half an hour, so you have time to get over here, do the class, and then shower if you need to and get back to your desk.
The 3 hours of paid bonus time is not simply just exercise.
Teresa Pulvermacher is the director of program development.
It looks at everything that affects you personally in terms of your health. Stress, fitness, nutrition, what goes on in your home. It's achieving work-life balance.
Logistics Health implemented the program for 2 reasons: to improve the health of their staff and to contain rapidly growing healthcare costs. But early on, the idea of giving staff 3 hours a week off was not an easy sell.
My board said we would lose, production time, and it's just been the opposite. Our productivity goes up. People get stressed out. You sit there at at your desk at the workstation, you get tired, you get stressed out.
I feel rejuvenated when I go back, like it's a new day, ready to start fresh. Your mind is cleared and then ready to get back to work.
And the fitness center is just the beginning. Logistics will soon create a primary healthcare clinic at the worksite, which will provide free healthcare to staff and their families.
I think long term that we will benefit from this.
They have big hopes for what the clinic and the program could mean for the company and their employees in the future.
I hope that we can actually impact their lives not only at work but at home, and that they end up healthier, happier, more balanced people.
There certainly are some innovations taking place as employers look for new ways to improve the health of their employees and reduce the cost of providing health care. Our in-studio discussion today will allow us to drill down further into the heart of this issue. Please welcome to the program our special guests. Sandy Forstner, Executive Director of the Austin Area Chamber of Commerce. Carol Wyckoff, risk consultant for Barron's Management Group. Charles Moline, founder and CEO of Corporate Financial Services. Thanks so much, everyone, for being here.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Sandy, you work with many, many businesses, and folks are looking for innovative ways to address this issue. The costs of healthcare keep going up for businesses. What are you hearing at the Chamber?
Well, I think businesses are ready to do about anything they can to reduce the costs of healthcare coverage and also improve the well-being of their employees, because I think really what you're talking about in healthcare, you know, much from the prelude into this is it's all about wellness and improving the overall well-being of our country and our employees.
Now, Chuck, your role is to offer plans that meet the needs of businesses and ensure their employees. You've been doing this for years and years. Give us a sense of what you see as being some of the drivers of premiums that seem to keep going up and up.
Well, certainly the technological advances in medicine, prescription drugs coverage, that certainly has something to do with it. We have, of course, an aging population. Obesity is the #1 epidemic that we face in this country, and all of those things add to the costs that we pay.
All right, and what can a business do to help mitigate some of those? Are there some practical things that they can do that will help drive down those premiums, or is the national trend working too much against them?
Well, I think to sit down and seriously set a plan into place and a plan design that works for your employee base and have a strong commitment from the management down to wellness and disease management for your employees, and try to incent the employees to get involved with that.
Carol, your role often is on behalf of the business. They look to you to provide them advice on how to find a good plan and kind of negotiate with companies like Chuck's to get health care for their companies. Right. What do you see when the businesses come to you and they say, our premiums keep going up? What kind of numbers are we talking about? What kind of increases are they needing help to alleviate?
It really depends. You can see your average trend. Siegel is a research corporation, and they put out a report every year with their trend survey. And in 2010, it was projected to be the first year in about 10 years where it was a single digit. So actually about 9.8, 9.9.
Okay.
In previous years, it's been double digits. Mm-hmm. But you'll see, depending on the employers that you work with, you'll see anywhere from the no changes, which are unfortunately few and far between, okay, up to I've seen 50, 60% increases.
Wow.
So I
Big
mean
range.
that's when they really throw their hands up and
mm-hmm.
say, where do we go from here?
Do you see any consistencies between those folks? Is it the smaller employees that are getting hit with the higher percentages, or when you look at across the board the clientele, mm-hmm. what's driving those?
It really can vary, because in your small group market, their renewals are going to be calculated based on the performance or the claims of the whole pool. Mm-hmm. So that carrier, all the small employers that they insure, they have a pool. And however that pool performs, that's the renewal that you get. Whether you had a great year and low claims, mm-hmm. you're going to subsidize the claims of those groups that didn't, okay, that had the high year. So that's where the small group market mm-hmm. Really kind of gets socked in the nose, really, with that. In the large group market, they're going to have their renewals calculated more based on their own claims. We're going to see those bigger increases for those folks when they have a really bad claims year. Sure. Large claims, mm-hmm. On average, will account for about 55% of total claims. Wow. For the whole group. Okay. And the claimants that will make up that 55% mm-hmm. is about 4% of your group.
Okay, so it only takes a few to really
It only
throw
takes
that
a
out of
few,
whack.
and they will, every year, regardless, you're going to see mm-hmm. where a few really account for the majority of your claims. Mm-hmm. And that 4% actually will cycle through about every 18 months. So it's okay. not always the same people.
Okay.
And so one of the things that we're working with our clients on is trying to pinpoint those people before those large claims hit. So that when we come in and have an on-site screening, that kind of thing, know your numbers, that person who's walking around with really high cholesterol or their blood pressure's through the roof, you can maybe get a red flag up with that person so they can start to get some preventive care rather than the acute care that will be much more expensive. Exactly.
All right.
But that's really the question for business is if they're going to incent and and encourage employees to have a healthier lifestyle, we think that they need a return on their investment. And that return can be increased productivity, it could be making them a more attractive place to work, or it could be lower costs in healthcare or reduced increase, I guess, in healthcare costs actually. But it's harder to manage when you're smaller.
Chuck, from the perspective of being a provider of health insurance, you're kind of up against a wall. I mean, you have to cover the costs somehow, and when there are claims, they have to be paid. What kind of advice or innovative tools do you see coming down the pipe that help some of these small businesses who are trying to do the right thing?
I think, kind of hitchhike off of what Sandy said, as business owners, we want immediate results. And I'm afraid with healthcare, laying out that plan that I talked about previously, this is more of a long-term fix when we start talking about wellness and getting people on board with that, identifying those things today that could be the cost drivers tomorrow.
And is there any incentive to communities? Sandy referred to a community initiative in the Austin area. There are other places that have dealt with the blue zones, and they're really trying to increase the health of the entire population. Does a health insurance company take a look at that and place those folks that are making those efforts in a different pool, or how does that work? Do they get credit for the good things?
Yeah, small group, that's really tough to do because, as Carol said, you're pooled with everyone else, so you can't really pull those good businesses out and reward those wellness efforts. But when you're dealing with large group, you can see more of an impact on the bottom line because you are operating more off of your own company's experience and not off of that big pool.
Carol, you mentioned that there is a break somewhere. What is that number? How many employees does a company need to have before they are taking a look at being more in their own pool as opposed to sharing the risk with others?
In general, the break is going to be for a small group market, it's anywhere from 2 to 50, so 2 employees to 50 employees. And large group is generally going to be seen as 51 plus.
Right. Sandy, when businesses talk to you about the percentage of cost that health insurance is as part of their overall operating expenses, do they give you a sense of really, if you're going to calculate the cost of an employee, what chunk of that is health insurance, the premium that they pick up?
Well, a lot of that will depend on the company itself and the type of coverage and the plans they have. Of course, a lot of companies have gone to higher deductible plans and health savings accounts and that in order to reduce that cost and really get the employee invested in their own health and coverage as well. But I think the national average in healthcare benefits is in the 8% range, a little higher in the public sector actually than in the private sector. In that area, well, actually appreciably more cost. So it's a big cost driver, and I think when we look at our economy now and the unemployment rates that we see now, I think one of the things holding people back from bringing back and hiring employees is the cost of healthcare coverage. If it's 8%, if you have a 100 employee base or whatever, that's 8 people.
Right.
So it's a big factor.
There's been some new legislation passed recently on the federal level. I'd like to hear your perspectives on how you think that might change the offering of insurance products and what it means for businesses as they move forward.
Well, we, in the next couple of years, won't see a huge change in what we have. But as that legislation slowly gets implemented, because it's over about a 3-year time period, once we get to the point in 2014 where we're talking basically full implementation, it could absolutely wipe the landscape clean. And with the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, my fear, or I guess a guess would be that what we're going to see out of that is that employer backbone that has been the system that has really supported the publicly funded government plans, because we know that there's some cost shifting there between them. You know, the reimbursement rates on those public plans are quite a bit lower than what reimbursement rates are to providers in that private market. And what we're going to see is the employees, and I think in 2009 it was 159 million Americans that had their insurance through their employer. We're going to see a big portion of them now eligible for exchanges. Now, exchanges may or may not be a better deal.
So lots of unknowns at this point. All right. Well, it sounds like preventative care, wellness approaches by individual businesses and communities are really the direction that this industry seems to be heading. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we've actually started to see, just maybe in the last year, year and a half, what I have termed as wellness with teeth. You know, rather than the voluntary participation and the incentives and the prizes to participate, we're starting to see mandatory participation. We're starting to see disincentives for not participating rather than the carrot. Now they're kind of starting to look at it and say, maybe it's time for the stick.
So, well, great discussion. There certainly is plenty more to consider on this issue, but thank you very much for opening this discussion with us today. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right. Stay tuned for more on The Heart of the Matter.
This generation of American citizens is unique. In the past, people really had to do heavy manual labor to stay alive. So for example, if you were a housewife during the Revolutionary War times, you would have to eat 6,000 calories per day to sustain life. At 1900, farm wife would have to eat 4,000 calories per day to sustain life. Today, the typical American housewife, if she eats more than 2,000 calories, will probably put on weight. So the good news is technology. The bad news is all the advances in technology make us the first generation that can live a totally sedentary lifestyle.
How often do you get out here to exercise?
4 or 5 times a week.
3 times a week?
Probably 3 times a week.
What motivates you to actually get out here and exercise?
To keep yourself fit and keep the weight off.
It's a physical need.
Healthier and more attractive, you know, stuff like that.
So what keeps you from exercising?
For me, it's time. How much time do I have in my day?
If my schedule won't allow for it in a given day, right.
Just straight laziness.
If you need motivation to reach your fitness goals, John Giese is your man. With a master's degree in exercise science, Giese has helped hundreds of people achieve healthy lifestyles. We sat down to find out what it takes to be successful. John Giese, thank you so much for sitting down and visiting with us today. You've been in the fitness business for quite some time. You're a fitness consultant. You also give advice to businesses that are looking to help improve the health or provide some opportunities for their employees. How does that work?
Right. Well, I think the business atmosphere, I think they realize now that it's their human assets that they have. It's not just bottom line dollars and cents. It's really looking at people that they have and getting their employees to be productive, healthy, happy. And we know so much now about wellness, about exercise, and healthy eating that I think the workplace, if from the leadership on down, can actually kind of promote and then actually demonstrate healthy behaviors as an expectation. And then also facilitate that, take the barriers away.
Okay. So and how do they do that?
Yeah, the way they do that really just saying from leadership on down, they basically show that they're doing it themselves, but also saying not working every minute of the day is not how you're going to be most productive. We believe, we understand, and we expect you to be active throughout the day. We want you to take 2, 3, 10-minute walking breaks throughout the day. They may not have an exercise facility, but they have hallways perhaps, they have stairways. Okay. Summertime in Minnesota, you go outside. Wintertime, maybe not so much.
Right.
But just actually facilitate the environment to say, we expect, and it's the expectation of this company that we're healthy and we support that.
And it's good for the employees, but as I understand in some reports you've seen, there are benefits to the company in return, not just from healthier employees, but for the company's goals as well.
Right. Dramatic impact, bottom line on health insurance, on productivity, on absenteeism. A new term in the last few years is called presenteeism. People that are at work but they're not really present. Just being more productive throughout the day. Those short breaks, people are more cognitively, they're more sharp, they're going to be more creative. They're going to actually, instead of causing more problems in the afternoon when they're tired, and then trying to solve those problems the next day when they're sharp, they can actually be sharp in the afternoon. They have 2 half days that are very productive by being active throughout the day and taking a break during the day. Some companies are even setting up nap rooms so people can take power naps during the day. There's research that shows that's beneficial as well. So your brain actually kind of puts a whole cache into filing system for the morning, and you have a clear mind basically for the afternoon. So there's a lot of research out there in many ways that supports this.
How difficult is it for a business to create that environment for their employees? Or, not everyone, like you said, has the ability to put a fitness center in their place of business.
Right. I think really the difficulty lies maybe in shifting paradigms. It's not so much the environment as far as the physical environment. I think it's really more the environment of the mindset of the more work you have to do, the more you have to put your nose to the grindstone and stay at your desk, stay at your computer, and get the work done. When the work's done, you can go home and exercise at night. But we're finding, we know that that's not the case at all. I think most companies can facilitate the environment change without much cost impact, and actually any trade-off, most returns on investment for companies for the last 20, 30 years. Different companies have shown this corporate wellness research. 1 to 3, anywhere from $1 to $3 to $1 to $7 on return on investment. And you don't have to invest much.
Let's talk a little bit about mindset that you mentioned. You kind of have to change the way you think. Exercise is one field, fitness, that people just have a hard time wrapping their mind around and sticking with it. What kind of advice do you give to the individuals that you work with to help them get started and keep them motivated and reach some of those goals?
I think it really comes down to saying, I need to find what is my most valuable goal that I have as far as a result or an outcome I want, and set that out in front of yourself and say, I'm going to get there by small steps. And it really is a small step process, trying to find success first in what you like to do, what you're able to do. Basically, it's called performance goals versus outcome goals. If you want to lose 20 pounds, you do everything you can, and you lose 10 pounds on the scale, you may feel like you failed. But if you say, I'm going to exercise 3 mornings a week for 10 minutes, which is enough, by the way, to start with, I'm going to eat healthier and sleep the amount of sleep I need, and then in 10 weeks you measure yourself, you've lost 10 pounds, the result of being successful is you've lost 10 pounds. And so that success will enhance further success.
Let's talk a little bit, you said you're getting more into the psychology of it. Many people who, like you say, work a full day and often in a sedentary position, but they're being creative and they're using their brains, and they come home and they're just exhausted.
Exactly.
How do you help them?
Yeah, how do you help them? One is, there's some thought that your body sort of has a neurologic pool, and if you work really intensely during the day, mental energy, you will feel fatigued at the end of the day. But physically, physiologically, your body hasn't been stressed at all. It may have been stressed in a negative way. There's a new field of research coming out now, last couple of years, a lot of research on inactivity physiology. Other end of the spectrum from exercise physiology, we know all the benefits of short bouts of exercise, 10 minutes even, are very beneficial. When it comes to inactivity physiology, even for an exerciser, sitting an hour at a time has many, many negative effects on your body. Lipase enzymes change, cholesterol changes, a lot of negative health effects that are sort of short term, but they are in effect while you're sitting down. Little tools such as this, I actually have one in my pocket today, a little device that is a new generation of pedometers, basically. It's a digital accelerometer. It measures all movement, or actually more importantly, all non-movement. And so what a device like this is about $100. It shows all my steps for the day, it shows calories for the day, but it shows periods of time where I have flat lines, which if you look at, most people know that the EKG on a heart monitor is not good at flat lines. This basically has the same effect. Over term, it will cause the same thing for your heart, flatlining. If you sit still and it shows that, you sit still a lot, it measures that. This device, and there are some out there that measure quality and quantity of sleep as well. So you actually plug in the next day, when I went to bed, when I got up, it'll tell you how long it took to fall asleep and your quality of sleep throughout the night. How soundly did you sleep?
So these are some technology tools that help kind of keep you on track. Often we hear about the benefits of friends, the environment that we're in, to help keep us on track for our fitness goals. How does that work?
Yeah, I think another psychological component is not just your own intrinsic motivation, but it's also the extrinsic factors, environmental, and a big part of it is social. We have so much now on the social networking. There is some benefit to social networking, I think, when it comes to health changes, behavior changes, but really the social support, which is, I think, much different than social networking. You may have a social network of friends that smoke, that don't eat well. If you want to quit smoking and eat better, that social network's not going to help support you.
Right.
So you want to have a group that actually is very much like you. They may be strangers to you, but the more you relate to them as being like you, or having a like lifestyle, or like challenges, the more that will enhance your chance of success.
Okay. And some of your clients are quite elderly, and so it really is never too late to start, is that right?
I know age, there are medical guidelines for certain ages. At 45, men tend to have cardiovascular risk, 45 and older. For women, it's 55 and older. With my experience, I've seen so many people, though, that age really isn't a factor. It's more what I look at really with every individual is what they have done, what they can do, and what they will do.
But if you had to talk to someone, what are the 3 things that you would advise them to do that would most benefit their fitness?
I think, for one, for the individual themselves, set realistic, attainable goals that you like, things that you can do, that you're able to do, that you're able to perform. Second one is find a social support group somehow that has some of the similar goals that are very much like you. And then I think just trying to find something you can enjoy for life.
John, thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate all of your advice.
Great, thank you.
The cost of healthcare has been an ongoing concern for residents of our region for many years. Award-winning editorial cartoonist Ed Fisher has often reflected on healthcare. Let's see what he has to say today.
Well, my name is Ed Fisher. I'm an editorial cartoonist and also the kind of cartoonist that does cartoons on other subjects like healthcare. I think that everybody agrees now that it's not working too well and it needs to be reformed. But I show someone in bed at a hospital, and I indicate a hospital by trying to create, so you know it's a hospital, maybe of having something that is, the blood coming down to whoever's in the bed, and he's listening to the doctor tell him how everything is okay. And this is going to be Medicare. And so I put that on here. And this is a situation that shows the doctor talking to him, and he's saying, everything is fine, don't worry about it, everything is going to be okay. And then you can see the guy is, pretty happy because he didn't know the situation. And then the doctor is leaving, so he's right here, and he's talking to somebody else off to the side here. And you can see that what it is the priest that's been standing by because he didn't know, and he's got the Bible, and he's getting ready for last rites or everything, and he's saying here everything's fine. And then to the father, to the priest, he's saying, stick around, Father. This is it. A big C, little h, and a little squiggly at the end like that, so it's unique.
Thank you for joining us for this in-depth discussion on the cost of healthcare. Join us next week as we take another look at the heart of the matter.